reset, and after. Got another really talented photographer. We have the raw image from one of his photos. It's this one here. So we're recreating this edit of his. A good amount of contrast, a little bit of smoothness to it. There's going to be quite a bit of work in the curves. Orange and teal split. The highlights, all those blues go quite teal. And then there's a little bit of glow. So maybe like bringing down the dehaze for that nice glowing you see there in the grass and stuff like that. Must be shooting on like a 400mm or something, but you can see how much smoothness there is to the edit. We're obviously darkening the foreground here, and then there's some sort of blooming of the highlights going on, kind of dark edits in a way. So quite a bit of shadow. We're not going to lift up the shadows too much. The main thing is that color split for sure, the orange and teal with a strong amount of contrast, and then comes down to brushing and stuff like that. So I'll link him down in the description, guys. So come over here and give him a follow. His links are down in the description. Really amazing work. This image is also available for those within the course to follow along in this edit step by step, or put your own edits to this image. Our exposure is very good actually out of camera, but what we'll do is just adjust the white balance because we are looking super blue. We're just going to shift the purple tint. So it is well exposed, so all our adjustments are basically for style. Clarity down, for example, to soften the image, a bit more of a glow. Same with texture. Now shadows up for a bit more vibrance, and then we're going to add back in lots of contrast with the curves very shortly. So we're just going to drop the highlights for flattening. Now all the contrast comes with curves. We'll go over these very shortly, so let's just reduce some contrast by bringing up the blacks and the whites, bringing in saturation touch, a bit more shadows so you can see how we get too dark. We're going to come up. Okay, not too bad. So the curves here, so this point for example is giving that very slight shine to those blacks when you go into the darkest point, and then it's pretty simple throughout, but at the brightest points we are getting a bit of a capping to the whites using this point here, and then through the mids it's kind of dropped, so we're gonna get darker throughout the mids. Okay, so just the entire brightness of the mids is dropping down, but then in the color curves we are brightening everything. So you can see how the mids are up and to the left, and same with the highlights. In each channel is obviously less blue, more red, and a little more green in the highlights. That's why we get these turquoise teal colors a lot in the highlights, and yeah, and a lot of warmth throughout the image. Especially you can see all these red tones and orange tones coming in, and it's a fairly steep S curve as well, so plenty of contrast. And then this one is especially for smoothing it out, and there's a touch of contrast there because the shadow point is coming down a bit. So yeah, let's move on and try to get these orange and teal tones this image has. In terms of color, it's a very vibrant, so let's just chuck the vibrance up. We'll probably just drop some saturation down here quickly. Okay, so for this orange and teal, easy way to do it is to come straight down to calibration and just go a little to the left, but we'll only do it a little bit because we're going to do the rest through HSL. Okay, so HSL will get us most of the way there. So obviously yellows need to be more orange, as simple as that. The hues need to come very far across towards orange, and then oranges, let's go a little more left. As you can see, our blue is not this greenish teal, so let's go this way. Okay, so that's not affecting it very much. Yeah, maybe the blues, yeah, it's registered as blues a lot more. Go about there. As for saturation, let's just bring them down quite a bit. As for oranges, we want our oranges to stand out a lot. We're going to play with, bring that back down. We're going to play with the luminance a lot, so the brightness of colors. It's that simple. Just lift these blues up to really make the sky shine. And you'll notice when you do this, you quite often lose saturation. And then the yellows for that shine. So we're going to lift it up a lot, but you can see the saturation really goes. So you might have to come back up to saturation and lift it up here. Let's come to split toning. Like, it's easier maybe to do split toning before HSL sometimes, because HSL is much more fine-tuned than split toning. Split toning will give a very quick adjustment to your entire photo, where HSL is a lot more selective. So genuinely you want to start broad and then get more selective as you go on. Blue in the shadows, a deep blue. So we just want to cool off. We've got so many orange tones, so let's go with a nice blue at 15 saturation. We are going to add in more blue. You can see like the top of the elephant, this is quite a bright area of the image and it's getting a lot of blue in it, so we're going to add in more. And then that has taken out quite a few of our oranges, so we need to come back up the saturation again and up them. Greens, there's no real greens in this. Blues, aquas, we're adding so much in with split toning. Not a lot of purples, but I think background there, yeah, they could go. Luminance. So we'll just do a little bit of vignetting to frame the subject, since our subject is like dead in the middle. Especially, we don't need grain. I think profile corrections were fine without it. Maybe a little more sharpening. It is quite a crispy looking image, but mostly because of the contrast makes it look so crispy, because we brought down clarity and texture, so you'd think it looks really smooth. To me it's still pretty crispy, but that's because of those dark blacks and pretty strong work in the curves. Brushes here, so they're already done. So we've got this one on the elephant, and if we just reset and then bring it back, we're adding contrast to the subject, lifting the shadows, so revealing more detail, adding contrast, and then we've got another one selecting the background. So if we reset, bring it back, it's just adding a lot of haze. Okay, I think it's pretty, yeah, you don't want to go over on it because it will look unnatural. So we've dropped it a bit, and then this always, you see this on so many edits, is just dropping the exposure to the foreground. And naturally that makes your eye focus in on the subject, frames your subject a lot better, makes your eye go up and towards the subject by darkening the foreground, eliminating distractions there. Very common way to frame subjects in video and all sorts like that, all sorts of ways. We go reset, and after, let's go full screen, reset, and after. If you want to learn more about color and the tools, why we move which tool, make sure you check out my free training. I've got one on curves, I've got a 2-hour free live training diving deep into curves, because you can get extremely deep into these tools, how this tool affects another tool further down, the order of tools you use. A lot of tools overlap, so there's a lot to learn, and if you go through the free training and the live training, you will be in a very good position to know what the tools do, and then you can enroll in the course if you want to go that next level of really understanding color and how to make images look good by understanding why you're placing colors in your image, for example. And then there's 100 really talented photographers teaching in there, where you get the raw image preset and lesson step by step, so you get the exact same result. Comment who you want to see on this YouTube channel so I can reach out to them and do a tutorial on them. Check out that free training, 2-hour live free training, and then the curves and color training, and you'll be well on your way to mastering editing and learning about color and getting to the style you want. Editing has become 70% of the photo now. That's what creates unique looking image nowadays. Camera gear's cheaper than ever, but editing still requires a lot of learning. I will catch you in the next one.
I just thought everything looked fake, everything looked crap. My photos felt a bit generic, they felt a bit formulaic. I was like anti-editing basically. You distilled the formula.